Hey everybody, welcome back to Red Lipstick Reality TV. It's your girl Anna. We are back for another episode of the one and only Sister Wives. If you're new here, welcome to my channel. Right now we're talking about everything Sister Wives, but I got a little sneak. I'm going to be talking about a different show coming up soon and doing some fun lives for that. So hopefully you stick around. But make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, share the video if you love it. And definitely get in those comments because we have a great time in there. If you're coming back, hey, Red Lipstick Club, welcome back, y'all. Listen, y'all know I was irritated AF last week about Sister Wives because honestly, to me, it was not really a reviewable episode. It was very frustrating for me. To me, they just dragged this season out. We did not need this many episodes. And I think that's what's becoming the problem is they're getting greedy with how many episodes they want to show instead of just picking the best content and giving us like 12 to 15 episodes instead of like 20 plus episodes just so they can like be money hungry, or I don't know what they're trying to do, but there's clearly not enough content to warrant having this many episodes. That's pretty much clear as day at this point. But this episode, we got some fun things to talk about. So I'm excited to talk about those with you guys today. Do my review, throw some clips in there for you. And then, like I said, make sure you get in those comments. Let me know what you think. Let's see if we're on the same page. I don't know, but obviously I took my notes. This is episode 18. This episode was called Money is the Root of All Evil. This title, in my opinion, fit this episode flawlessly. It was perfect for what was going on in these conversations. And I think for all of us that have been watching this show since the beginning, we have been really asking those questions surrounding the money because the money has looked funny from day one. And the way Kody was moving, there's some things that come up that feel very financially ABUSIVE. We're definitely seeing signs of that. I think that's clearly brought up. And I'm glad they're finally having this discussion because I felt like this was something they were really keeping from the audience. And now that we know this information, it's painting this whole thing in a completely new light. And this is serious, y'all. This is serious. Anyway, segment 1 starts out with in Pier 1. Mary finally introduces her dog, Zona. Zona makes their first appearance. I love when people adopt dogs. And I think when you've went through something traumatic or life-changing, whether it's good or bad, being able to adopt a dog and have somebody that you can just love unconditionally, that you know that loves you back unconditionally. I see why so many people, when they're making a life change, that they typically look to adopt a dog and change that dog's life too, or even get a puppy or whatever the case may be. If you can adopt, please try to adopt. We all can't maybe have that option. It's really up to you, especially for people that need hypoallergenic. Sometimes it's a little bit more difficult to go through with an adoption. However, either way, having a pet in your home is fantastic. I currently don't have one. I'm excited in the future. Maybe in the next couple of years, I'll get a dog. And even my dad's talking about getting a dog. And he's been like anti-getting one. And now he's been like really talking about it. So I'm like, he's getting to that point, that age, you know, where he's like, I kind of want a companion, right? So anyway, they're there. We meet Zona. Mary brings up the mess surrounding like Coyote Pass. And this is basically a year, you guys, after the spiritual divorce. That's kind of where we're set at now. Robin and Kody basically have gone ghost surrounding what's going on with this property. So Mary has reached out. Janelle's been reaching out. They've been asking them, hey, what do you guys want to do? Do you want to sell? Do you want to buy us out? What do you want to do? As we see, Kody is continuously deflecting. So is Robin. I think they're deflecting for different purposes. I believe that Robin is deflecting because she still is delusional about them coming together as a plural family. It's not going to happen. We all know this, but she's delusional. And so she's holding on to that and holding on to this property because of that. For Kody, he's holding on to it for control over these women that are done with him. It's the one thing that he can control them still through this property. It is the most narcissistic thing possible. Because if you were really done with these women, you moved on, you want them to move on, especially if you want Mary to move on, why would you want to keep control and keep this connection to these women? If for no other reason than you want to have some level of control over them still. This man's got a problem, y'all. Anyway, Mary says that when she sends him the email, he sends her like a condescending response saying, I'll let you know when this involves you. First off, you're not my husband. Also, you're not my daddy. So that's my money involved in there. You don't get to tell me when I get to be involved in something that involves me and my money. And now we're just seeing probably the issues for years that they were just ignoring. It's crazy to me. Also, too, to have a man talk to you like that, you're not even paying all the bills, sir. You're not paying any, really not none of mine. It's just funny to me. He's funny. And I feel like we've all kind of felt through Coyote Pass that he would try to find a way to screw over the OG3. And seeing Christine say, this is why I didn't want to deal with this. I just was trying to find the easiest route to get out of that marriage, to be financially separated from Kody so I can move on with my life. She knows how he moves. And she did the smartest thing. And she happened to be in the best position to do it because she was the first to leave. I think if Janelle would have been the first to leave and she would have went ahead and bought a house, she would have been okay. It's funny because she was giving Christine the right advice on preparing to leave, telling her, make sure your finances are in a row and your ducks in a row with finances before you up and leave out of here. You know, because Janelle knew that. So she was telling Christine what to do, but she really wasn't following her own advice, which is interesting. But they always say, you know, those that can't teach, right? And Janelle probably could be a great marriage counselor for everybody else but herself. But she gave her fantastic advice on getting out of a ABUS IVE relationship. And that's make sure you are financially sound before you do so. Because even Janelle knew this is what the mess that they were going to have to deal with, dealing with Kody and money and power. So then Mary, she's basically has a lawyer now, you guys. And I feel like she's kind of been like non-confrontational. And now she has like really no choice but to be confrontational about this because there's too much money wrapped into this. And I also believe too, she owes Janelle an apology, like a real apology. Because she continued to put her like trust in Kody and Robin stupidly. And now she sees that she was being a total idiot. She got wrapped up in the mess. She's just being an idiot, you guys. It's disappointing to see how Mary almost was a little bit brainwashed in that situation. And in that moment too, Jen gives like the eye roll we all needed, because this is where Mary's basically talking about how, well, I didn't think it would get like this bad. And Janelle's like, not Janelle, but Mary, not Mary, Lauren, Anna, get the names right. Jen is like, girl, like, how could you not know Kody would get manipulative when it came to money and this property? Like, why would you believe he would just be fair just to be fair? Why? What about his behavior in the past 10, 15, 20 years would tell you that? Even if you just broke it down in the last 5 years, what about his behavior has told you he would be fair? The moment that man told you needed to suffer 20 years because you were not nice to him for 20 years, should have told you everything you needed to know about him. And he said that to you a decade ago. So I don't know why you would think he would be putting your needs, really be thinking about your best interests. I don't know why you would think that, especially now that you're divorced from him. So this is what I was thinking too in this moment. Mary's really not a girl's girl either. Maybe I think she's trying to turn into that, but she's kind of one of those women, when they get with a man or a partner, it's not girling for me. Even when it's right in your face. I just see her dropping two friends that are just actually good people, but because she's just kind of lost in the sauce, she's just really not a girl's girl. And also too, the reason I say this too is because she knows Janelle has always really been the smartest one when it comes to like money and finance and things like this. She's always known this. But Mary grew up in a patriarchy, right? And she's always been, I feel, a little bit jealous of Janelle. Because remember, Janelle would always say one of the things her and Kody had in common was their ability to have conversations and talk about everything and anything. You never hear Kody say that about Mary or Christine. Janelle was the one that he wanted to have those deep, intellectual, thoughtful conversations with, because she really is an intellectual. So the fact that Mary is questioning the intellectual on something that's a clear intellectual situation is a problem. It just highlighted for me, you're not a girl's girl. Because why would you think Janelle would come and lie to you about something like this 20 years and 30 years into this relationship that you guys have? Why would she lie now? Why? So Mary's trying not to ruffle any feathers is kind of what I got from it. In a family that basically is non-existent. So you're trying not to ruffle feathers, but the family doesn't exist. You're not losing out on anything because the family doesn't exist anymore. At least in this same structure. It's over there with Christine and Janelle. I mean, maybe if you had a relationship with Janelle, maybe you could, but even then, Mary does not have good relationships with either McKelty or I think Maddie. I think she's okay with like most of the boys, except for Peyton, but almost all of Janelle's boys. And I feel like her and Savannah are fine. And then also I think she has a decent relationship with like Gwendolyn and Isabel. So they're adults now. They can come to you. We saw some of the boys come to Mary and have dinner with Mary. So you don't really have to not ruffle feathers if what you're doing is really in the best interest of the family to begin with. So are you really ruffling feathers, or are you making sure that things are good for everybody and that things are fair? That's not ruffling feathers, in my opinion. Then Jen acknowledges what we all really have been saying, you guys, is the only person that had her back in this whole situation was Janelle. And we said that from the beginning. And I think that's why some of us were so frustrated watching that episode where Mary went and just tattled about what Janelle said to Robin and Kody. And we're all like, girl, why would you trust them? Why? The same people that basically let you rot in your house by yourself for a year during COVID. Those people, you want to trust them? Okay. Gotcha. Moving on. We're going to Flagstaff, you guys. So I was thinking for this, the fact that Kody and Robin got to decide to sell without the opinion of Janelle and Mary is like exactly what we've all been talking about. It's those two against everyone else since the beginning. Like Cody's asking Robin's opinion as if her opinion holds more weight in this situation than Janelle and Mary. That's been the issue for a long time. They're not equal. They're not even. Forgive me, guys. I do still have a little bit of a cough. I'm working through it, though. It's almost gone. It's almost gone. So then Cody's talking about Janelle's dogs in the RV. You guys, he was so annoying talking to this realtor. Like, he and his need to prove his alpha around other men is so insane. It's like, you know, when people, let me not go there. Y'all know where I want to go when it comes to these men that feel this like crazy need to prove their masculinity. And I don't know what's going on with Kody, but it's really odd to me that he feels this need to just look at me, He-Man, roar, you know. It feels like this guy came out in the last decade once he got on TV. And I just like, some people really don't need to ever be on TV. They don't really show their best self. And he is showing his worst self through this whole situation. He's bringing up Janelle's dogs in her RV as if he was ever there. I was like, you're such a piece of work. It's like your marriage didn't work because you abandoned your wives. It didn't have anything to do with those dogs. And I know some people don't like dogs in the bed or whatever. Janelle had a big RV. That RV was not little. He could have, if she knows that Kody, and let's say she didn't want to compromise, well, she wanted them in the room or whatever the case may be. I don't think it started that way. I think had he been a present husband, and she obviously knows he doesn't really care for dogs and beds or whatever, she would have put up a little gate and kept the dogs in the front of the RV. But she's like, why am I making space for you when you don't even come down here? And you didn't even think to ask me nicely for anything. You're being like a tyrant about everything, as if only what you want matters. I think all these women just kind of got to the point where they don't care what Kody wants anymore, because he didn't care what they wanted, right? And I feel like that's kind of how Janelle is. Me personally, I don't like dogs in the bed. I don't mind if they lay at the foot of the bed or things like that, but I don't like dogs on the bed or the furniture. That's just personally how I grew up. I have dated people that like their dog in the bed. It was okay for me if maybe they slept at the bottom of the bed, but even then, it wasn't personally for me. But I'm not knocking somebody that wants to do that. But it does, you know, it's a choice you make. It's not gonna cause a divorce for me. If I had a guy that he just could not have his dog sleep at the bottom of the bed, okay, then put the dog there. It's not, put a blanket down and put the dog there. If that's what you really need to do, you know, it's, if I love you enough, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna leave you or divorce you because you need to have the dog at the end of the bed. Excuse me. And that's what Kody's trying to say. Like, he's just gonna leave her. It's all because of the dogs, not because of anything else. It's the dogs, you guys. It's the dogs. Whoo. The guy, I was thinking the guy doesn't need a background on your relationships through this. Like, this whole situation is not civil because Kody has made it almost impossible to be a civil situation. It's not because of the women. And I'm also like, why do you get to pick the realtor? Shouldn't this have been something you consulted with the women about? And I just feel like he kind of diminishes them in this segment too, to like nothing but they're just a partner in this. These women gave you 30 plus years. They gave you together 7 kids. The audacity. He just makes me sick. And I feel like he's kind of hung Coyote Pass over their head this whole time, like I said, to have control over them, even when they're divorced. And he kind of is a narcissist. I'm like, it's 14 acres, y'all. It's nothing when you really think about it. 14 acres. Obviously, in Flagstaff, it is worth more, but it's not like piles and piles of land. I think because it's in Flagstaff, it's kind of expensive property, I guess, but it's still only 14 acres. Like, just like Janelle said, you can put a greenhouse up, maybe a couple plots or two, but this isn't some big, humongous property. Great view, though. I will admit the view's great. So I was just basically thinking, again, at the end of the segment that Robin comes up, I'm thinking no one cares, Robin, about like your heartbreak or nobody cares about your heartbreak, Kody. Nobody cares about Robin's. We don't care. Like, y'all created this mess. There's nothing crazy about it. Y'all just created this. And I just don't have any more to give y'all when it comes to feeling bad for you. Moving on, I'm going to say North Carolina for this because even though only Maddie is the one that's in North Carolina, it just kind of helps me differentiate between what conversations are happening. So I'm saying North Carolina because Janelle and Maddie are calling Christine to tell her that they've closed on their offer was accepted and they're going to be closing soon on their property that they bought. And y'all, this is 165 acres. That's why I'm talking like this man is doing all this shenanigans and buffoonery over 14 acres. These two women like that were able to pull it together to get 165. Excuse me. Like, come on, my guy. And it wasn't that difficult. The common denominator on why everything's difficult is ultimately you. You're the difficult one. So while he's holding her little 4 acres hostage, they've basically had the ultimate glow up and they've got 165. They transferred this segment to Parowan. And I'm saying in this segment, this is going to be a lot of WTF moments in this segment, you guys. So like, brace for that. Actually, I'm going to pause here because I'm going to get a drink because we got a lot to talk about here. Y'all, I refuse to be coughing through this segment because this was the meat and potatoes. I got me a Snapple, so if you don't have a drink in your hand, like this is where you need to sip a little tea. And it is tea, it's peach tea. Baby, the tea that was spilled. And this segment, this is what we've been waiting for. This is what we've been asking. This is what we've been asking for, y'all. This is what I say where Mary is starting to do on TV is what we call deconstructing, right? Like she's seeing him for who he really is. And we're getting to witness this. We're getting to witness her deconstruction happen in real time. And the last time I've seen something like this occur was when I watched the documentary series, The Vow, where the first season, you get to see Sarah Edmondson and Nippy and Mark. You get to see them deconstruct right before your eyes. And it's crazy, you know, and I'm starting to feel like the same thing happening really here with Mary when it comes to this situation. So we're going to pop in here my first WTF moment. Like I said, I think I've got 1, 2, 3. Y'all, I got 4 in this section. So let's put the first one in here.
I'm just like, listen, these are ex-wives asking me to do a favor. And I'm tired. And I have a lot to do.
I don't know what's going on. He could be talking to someone about selling it. He could be, he could potentially be talking to someone about selling it out from underneath us. I don't know, because he's not communicating.
First one, y'all. Kody acting as if managing this property is doing a favor for his ex-wives is so crazy to me. He's insane. He is making it seem as though he is doing them a favor by holding this property hostage. Because there's no way he's going to admit that he's doing this as a power trip for control over these women. If you've been watching some other creators online that are from the AUB and how they've spoken to the vast amount of financial ABUSIVE and the coercive control that comes through that. You've seen a lot of creators, not a lot, but like some great creators online now that are talking about their AUB experience and their family's AUB experience and how that is something that's rampant in that community, to the point now where they're basically advising the men to not marry any of the women. So that way all the money is basically financially tied up within the church. That way these women have no power, no access to you financially. That's scary. And when we see people deal with like financial abuse, that's usually how that happens. So when he says that he's doing them a favor, I could just only imagine in that community how many times a woman has been told that, oh, I'm doing you a favor by keep removing your access from things or taking over things or being in charge of things. They're just, making it seem as though they're doing these women a favor, and they're not. They're just finding a way to control them, but making it your fault that I'm in charge and in control. We're going to put our next one in here too. This is our next WTF moment clip. They get worse and worse, y'all. They get worse and worse. We're going to put it here.
I would get 2 acres.
No.
2 acres.
No.
He's like, well, you don't need as much because you don't have as many kids.
You paid equally. I'm just really, holy crap.
I don't know if they don't remember, like, when our funds were all together. And those family funds that I helped with went to kids' college, went to property, went to, like, you know what I mean?
Mary confirms everyone paid in equally for Coyote Pass. Everybody paid equally for Coyote Pass. Because it was coming from the family account and their personals. And all these women have been paying into that family account. From the beginning, because he's so manipulative, he found a way to have his name on each piece of that property when we all know, and I think it's because he probably made the deal, the terrible deal they made to begin with, but he probably told them, I feel like he bamboozled them, basically said, well, in order for him to qualify us for this, I need to have my name on all the property. I guarantee you, y'all, he lied like that. Knowing Kody, come on. And then he goes and tells the realtor guy, oh, well, I paid for one of these lots outright. Did you, though? And that's last time I checked. Were they in lots when they bought them? Like, didn't they have to divvy it up after the fact? Something about that just didn't sound right with what he was saying. I don't think he did that at all. I think he's trying to get that on camera and make himself seem like the big guy. I don't know. But anywho, Mary confirming that everyone paid into this equally. We've all been asking that question because we've all been wondering why, number one, is his name on all these? Why is Robin's name on more than one? This was prior to Christine coming in. I mean, prior to Christine leaving and them leaving the property to her. Why is Robin's name on all these? On two, I think she had her name on two of them before Christine even left. And then the one she had with her name on with Kody, well, they're married. So she's already legally obligated to that. So it was a mess to begin with. And I'm just glad that Mary confirmed for us that financially they've been paying equally for that. Moving on to our next WTF moment. I told you I was back to back. Pop that one in right here.
Fund. And that money paid out for the majority of the kids' colleges, but not Leon's.
No, not Leon's. I paid for Leon's college.
And it went to the majority of the kids' cars, but not Leon's.
I paid the car payments.
So you paid into the family account for the kids all to have their college paid for, but not your kid. You paid into the family account for the kids' cars, but not your kid. You paid in.
Mary, y'all, Mary paid for everything for Leon. Nothing came out the family fund. Leon's car, Leon's college. Now, we all thought when Leon wanted to go to that expensive school, we're all saying, hey, Leon, you can't be the only one going to this expensive school while the rest of us are going to community college and local colleges. Mary wanted her kid to go, so she didn't even pull at all from that. She just paid for it herself. She made the personal sacrifices so that her child could go there, despite still investing in the family for the other kids to go. Y'all never heard her bring up one time in any episode that it was unfair or that something was wrong. She just poured into the family. Now, I know people have a lot of issues with Mary, and I know some of these kids do too. But I don't think they understand the personal sacrifices that she made for the family when she only had one kid. I think we have all brought up multiple times the impact of Mary only having one child. How they look at that person as less. How they look at that person as you shouldn't get as much. And you're constantly in a position where you're having to justify and explain why you should get anything. Which is something that's brought up here in this next WTF clip, which is here.
We had 18 kids to take care of. You know, that's just water in the bridge. I don't even want to discuss it. Mary can do all the complaining about whatever happened that she wants. She's still got her wet bar.
Stupid wet bar.
You have a wet bar. She has appliances.
I want a wet bar. What's wrong with me having a wet bar in my house? I'm the one who made the payments on that house anyway.
Y'all, Kody talking about the wet bar and throwing that in Mary's face. And just like Mary said, she was the one paying the mortgage there. And I know back then, everybody was mad about Mary getting this bigger house. But now when you're looking at how things were set up, I bet you for years, there were times where Mary was paying into this family account and that money was going to help the other members of the family because they had more children. But she was just kind of still having to figure out her stuff on her own. She really wasn't able to pull from that account the way that otherwise were able to. She signed up to take care of their kids too. She only had one. Now imagine if she was selfish and said, well, I'm not paying into that. I only had one kid. And that's why all this is such a mess. That's why this does not work. I don't care what anybody says. This does not work. It does not. It's crazy though. That's so crazy to me, you guys. Finally hearing that, finally seeing like the money has been funny for a long time. A long time the money's been funny. And now I'm like, oh, this is why Mary wasn't trying to make waves. And Jen says, you know, what I've been saying about like growing up in a, I was saying she's grown up in a patriarchy, and then Jen confirms what I was saying. You grew up in a patriarchy, you'll diminish yourself, you'll turn a blind eye, and like, look what happened in the end. And honestly, she did deserve alimony. So Kody giving her the shenanigans and buffoonery now, when she let that man get that divorce scot-free, woo. Let's talk about that. A mess. And that for me, I'm like, Jen, please keep pushing Mary on this. Like, do not let her waver. This is also why Kody doesn't like her, because he knows she's smart and she'll push Mary. Those are my thoughts before we talk about what this man said later in this episode. I'm sorry, guys, for the coughing. I'm really trying. But yeah, we'll talk about what this man said later, which I'm just blown away. I'm really blown away by. But it was interesting to hear how that money's been moving. And y'all tell me in the comments, do you think you'd feel better if you're a woman that only had one kid in a family where the other woman had 6, and they were just constantly making you feel bad, saying you don't deserve more, you shouldn't get more because you can only have one child? Like, how would that make you feel to have that constantly brought up, constantly dangling? And I don't even think it was really Janelle or Christine that was bringing it up as much, but more so Kody. To have your husband just constantly push that into your head that you only have one kid, you only gave me one. And in a religion and in a group where the woman's value is tied to how many children you can give, right? I mean, just imagine how devaluing that is if you believe in that. That's tough, y'all. Moving on back to Flagstaff. So Janelle lets Christine know she got a lawyer to deal with Coyote Pass. Christine also brings up that she put an offer in and they have their Airbnb in Moab. You can actually see those photos online. They've had it now for a while. It looks really cute. It's not cheap to stay there, but it's a pretty nice size house. And then this is where Janelle calls out women not having any autonomy in groups like the FLDS. Well, in my opinion, the AUB is not that different. Excuse me. I feel like Janelle tries to kind of gloss over that. And I think it's important for her to recognize that she was part of a cult too. The AUB is a cult too. Not just FLDS. There is abuse in both those groups. We've seen multiple people come out of both groups that have said that. So your AUB is not absolved from not giving women autonomy, giving access to their own money, so they're not victims of financial ABUSE. Moving on to Kody and Flagstaff. This is where he says that little thing about how he bought his own lot. I don't believe that. Moving on. And this is him also peacocking for this guy. It's just insane. It's embarrassing, frankly. And then him also continuously saying these women want to get over on him. I'm like, these women don't want to get over on you. They just want what's equally theirs. What's fair. That's all they want. And then they want you to leave them alone. And then he says, then he lies and says they just left him with the bag to figure it out. That's a lie. You've been holding Coyote Pass and this whole situation hostage. So you can be in control, Kody. That's what's happening here. Be honest. Stop lying. He's just lying. This realtor doesn't care about you being a polygamist, okay? He doesn't care. Let's sell this property and roll. Here's a WTF moment, y'all. Because why not? Put it here.
When I met Cody's family, they were all living in one home. It was a triplex. You know, my dream was to do that with them. And then when we moved to Vegas, we developed sort of this culture there in the cul-de-sac, and it was really great. And then we moved to Flagstaff. It just kind of disintegrated. It was frustrating to me. I watched it happen, and I was like, stop.
Here we go with Robin making herself the victim about the family breaking up again. I'm so sick of this woman. I mean, her manipulation is something to be studied. She is highly manipulative. Highly. But we have heard that this is something that happens in the AUB often, is you'll have a wife that's like this. emotionally manipulative. She is always playing victim. Always on this show. Then we move on to Kody reminiscing about that ditch they called a pond. It's not a pond, but it was cute. And all the kids jumping in, and he's skinny dipping, whatever. And I'm like, I'm thinking this one, like, none of these kids are talking to you now. Like, you literally abandoned them, and like, all you can do is reminisce about something that's never happening again. It's so sad. And then Kody telling the women to do the paperwork, knowing they can't do anything unless he starts the process, because his name's on everything. Excuse me. It's just so frustrating. Like, to see him act like they have control over this situation, knowing it's him. If he doesn't handle it, it doesn't get done. That's why it's taking so long. He can't get anything done. All right, y'all, moving back to Utah. I'm noticing with all these women, whether they want to admit it or not, we're like under financial ABUSE with Kody. Like, whether they had a little money, whether they had a lot of money, it was like rampantly happening for their entire relationships. And Christine brings up the constant moving they put their family through. And for me, I've lived in the same place for like a decade. And I spent like the early part of my adulthood doing more moving around like every couple years. And it was really exhausting for me. And I can't imagine being a kid going through that. And we watched them do a ton of moving. And it's exhausting. And it's like you never feel settled. And I like that she like kind of talks about that, like really just wanting to be settled and sick of moving. Moving on to Pier 1. We're back at Pier 1. Mary talks about dating, you guys. I love that she's doing this, honestly. This is the show that I actually wanted of them. I'm kind of glad after a year of divorce, she's starting to date and not like hold herself back from that. That's really important to me. That really will help her to move on, I believe, faster. But I'm going to pop in a WTF moment here because, baby, Kody was on one. He was on one in this segment. Pop it in here.
Well, Mary wants an alpha male, but she also wants to be in charge. I don't know how that's going to work for her.
Look, Cody's saying Mary wants an alpha male, but wants to be in charge. Okay, Kody. You know, as a woman that is in control of their lives, takes care of themselves, very successful in career-wise and things like that. The reason why you want an alpha, I guess what you would determine to be an alpha, I don't use that dumb terminology. All women want is a man that can handle business, that can take care of himself, make decisions, and also be a support system for you. We want someone that does what they say they're going to do. That's the key there. Someone that does what they say they're going to do. There has been no period in time, Kody, where you have demonstrated that you would do what you said you were going to do. And even Mary says, hey, I love a guy like that could take control of everything, manage everything. But guess what? She could not depend on you to do what you say you're going to do. So because of that, she had to become her own master of her own ship and take the wheel. Otherwise, she was going to crash waiting on you. Now, if I met a guy that I could depend on to be there, treat me nice, treat me well, do what they say they're going to do you know how soft I could be? Do you know how relaxed? Do you know how my shoulders that are tight right now would just all of a sudden get real low and relaxed? Because I don't have to worry about things being taken care of. Because I'm with a man that does what they say they're going to do. The faster men realize that, the better off we'll all be. If that's what alpha is, then so be it. I'm pretty sure that that's what Mary wants. You guys tell me in the comments. We will poke in this one because I can't believe this man said this. Put this WTF moment in of Kody. Put it here.
Yes. She needs to ditch all those mean girlfriends and find a guy if she really wants love. If she wants to find a man, she's going to have to ditch those bitches because he ain't going to put up with that.
Jen has been the person who's been more loyal to me than anybody else has. more loyal than anybody in my family. I'm going to keep that person who's going to be loyal. I'm sure that Kody understands that.
Let me tell you one thing. When a man starts disrespecting you in this way, okay, calling you derogatory names, calling you out your name, I mean, he might as well slap you in the face. I mean, that's how bad this is for me. And usually if I had a man, which I've had very few in my life, that felt it comfortable enough to call me out my name, or somebody I know out of their name, that to me was like one step away from more than likely this person is also capable of putting their hands on me. It's a very thin line. When you have such little respect for women that you're calling them female dogs on national television. This man called her friends female dogs. Like, the fact that he's so disrespectful and like misogynistic to women, I'm telling you, Robin, I would not be married to this man. I would not be raising women around him. My daughters would not be around him. Ultimately, it's because he didn't like that Mary's friends would call out what was really going on, call out the clear ABUSC, the manipulation, the contradictions. For me, it's like, should you tell your girlfriends everything that's going on in all your business? No, clearly you shouldn't do that. But Mary waited a long time, y'all, to even like tell Jen. Keep in mind, she didn't meet Jen until she got to Vegas. She didn't really have all those friends. And I'm sure that wasn't the first sentence that came out of her mouth, was all this bad stuff. And we haven't heard Jen talking about any of this stuff until Mary now has felt comfortable talking about it. Y'all didn't see Jen running her mouth all over town about Mary's business. That's why Mary feels that she's this person that's had her back and she felt safe around. Jen was not telling her business like that. And I feel like this is also why I bet Robin has no friends, because Kody likes to keep his women isolated so they don't know any better. Well, Mary knows better. That's why you weren't able to continue to manipulate her. You thought you could just do it with no expectation, then she wouldn't ask you for anything. Well, obviously she started asking you for things, and now you're mad because some friend got in her ear. It's a friend's fault. It's not you abandoning her, treating her terribly. No. It's the friends that are female dogs. Gotcha. The audacity, y'all. Moving on, we're back in SLC. Christine's working on the Moab house. David's just kind of signing off on what they're doing. Christine loved that. She likes to be in charge. And I feel like it's really a change from how she used to be able to exist, except for in the home. That's probably why they had issues with the kitchen. Because Christine's like, that's like the one place I can be in charge at. I'm not in charge of anything in this family. I like being in charge. And the kitchen was one area she could be in charge of. Excuse me. And also, Janelle relinquished control of her children to Christine. And I think she liked that too. Even though maybe she wouldn't have chosen to stay at home for that long. Because she was able to be in charge, I think she liked that. I think she liked the respect that came with being in charge of something. And I get it, Christine. I absolutely get it. That's why Peyton says his mom's changed a lot. And I feel like we kind of see that too. But I don't think it's for the worse, Even when she gets on my nerves, I know that she'll eventually form more emotional intelligence and maturity as the years go on. And those are things that'll adjust, and she'll be fine. She's like a 17-year-old right now. Now she's almost 19, 20, because she's been married for a little bit, right? We're seeing her mature up. So Robin talking about Sister Wives Closet, saying she started that business. And Kody saying he's embarrassed that he didn't stand up for Robin. And he speaks terribly about the other women. Excuse me. The designs were ugly and terrible, guys. They weren't going to make any money. They were overpriced. It was a bad business model. And the other women clearly identified that that's what it was. But because Kody was so sensitive to Robin and Robin was so sensitive, they couldn't be honest with her about the fact that this was a bad business model. That's just the way it is. It was a bad business model. Because they should have sold out with the popularity they had during that time period. They should have been selling out. But the jewelry was ugly, and like I said, it was overpriced. Had they picked more moderately priced jewelry that was more attractive, they probably would have been incredibly successful, and it could have spearheaded some other businesses that they wanted to get into, but they just had everything poured into that because poor Robin started it and Kody favored Robin. Otherwise, even he would have been able to say, this is a bad business model, Robin. It's a bad business model. Kody tried to act like he should have access to all the money made from their endeavors of the other wives. A lot of them had MLMs that they made money from. And like Janelle's, I think it's completely insane that he thinks he should have access to that. He didn't pay these women any alimony, so get out of here. There's no child support. He hasn't taken care of Savannah in years. Like, give me a break. Like, these women walked away with nothing. You're lucky that they walked away just taking the profit of their businesses that they put all the work in for, instead of coming for you like they all should have. They all should have came for you. So at this point, I was just kind of happy because even Mary, she was kind of finally growing a backbone in this segment. It was great. Anywho, y'all, that's the episode. I apologize times 1,001 that I am like a coughing maniac. I'm getting better. If you guys didn't know, if you're new here, I had the flu. I got it around New Year's Eve. It had me out for like 2 weeks. And it left this lingering cough. Now I'm hearing other people getting this stuff too. It is really serious out there, you guys. So please wash your hands. Keep yourself protected because it is lasting. This has been almost 3 weeks now. 3 weeks now that I've been dealing with something related to sickness. So please take care of yourselves as much as you can, especially with the weather kind of all over the place. But this was a good episode, at least from what I've been looking for. It gave me some really great information, great things for us to talk about, which I appreciate. And it wasn't a whole bunch of filler content that's old. It was new content. I loved it. And I got way more Janelle, which I also loved. And really great moments of honesty with Mary, which we've all been asking for. So let me know what you guys think. Get in those comments. Hit the like. Hit the subscribe button. Share my video so we can bring more people to have fun over here at Red Lipstick Reality TV. Until next time, bye.